What is up, everyone? My name is Sean,
And I'm Tom.
and
we're
we're
a Block
the
Bros.
Block Bros. Oh
Yeah.
shit! I think that was the one. I think we nailed it that time. I'm gonna be honest.
We got pretty close. Like, might
Got a
be
little hype. Got a little hypey there. Sorry to yell. Welcome in. Tom, go ahead. And tell me about your week. What did you do this week? Since you've been gone or whatever.
right? Yeah. I mean, normal week besides tattooing and whatnot. I know that doesn't sound like the norm to most people. Like, just did like 12 tattoos this week, and granted, if you do 0 tattoos in your life, that's a lot. But other than that,
100%.
yeah. Other than that, went out on a date yesterday. Went pretty
Oh,
well. Yeah.
date, love life. Tom's got a love life. Let's hear a little bit. If you're cool with it, let's hear a little bit more about that.
Right. We went for just like, nice little nature walk. We went to like this actual like eagle park that we didn't know was just full of eagles. Like, yeah,
There's
that
just
was
like
pretty
eagles
cool.
everywhere. That's the most American park I've ever heard in my life. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just like 3 eagle nests around there. It was just, kind of cool. And she has a corgi, which just kind of honestly, like, not to be shallow, but that adds bonus points if you have a corgi. Like,
Tom, I'm gonna say this with all due respect. Marry this person. That
right?
just seems like the fair thing to say here.
Yeah.
You should marry her.
Yeah. She sent me a picture of him in a life jacket today, and I lost it. I was like, this is amazing.
Does this corgo have a name by chance?
Pickles.
Oh my god, yes. Marry this. I mean, who cares about the person? Get the dog and split, bro. Get into the divorce. We can raise it together. It could be a podcast dog, honestly.
I know, right? I'm like, man, your dog is just amazing. But no, it went really nice, honestly. It was, just nice to meet someone and talk to something other than like, like what people are usually in it for me. So, and you know what I mean, Sean.
Yeah,
so.
what I'm in it for. How hot you are, clearly.
Yeah.
Tom's hot. That's not a joke. Watch us live to find out how hot. Anyway, this week,
I am a Princeton 9, like a city 6.8.
I give you like a I'm like a city 4, so
right. You could do worse.
It depends. Okay, but it truly depends if my hair's up or down. Right. That's like a main thing, or if I've shaven or showered. Anyways, there's a lot of prep, is what I'm trying to say. I am a diamond in the rough. That's always in the rough. But this weekend, it was my girlfriend's dog's, which is also my dog, I guess, because we've been together a very long time, 15th birthday. And the dog is a Chihuahua. And I know what everyone's saying. Oh my God, I hate Chihuahuas. Well, the cool thing about this Chihuahua is that she's literally like brain dead. And that's not a joke. It sounds awful. I get it. But she was in a puppy mill her whole life. So she doesn't know how to be a dog, which means she doesn't know how to be a Chihuahua and doesn't have any of the problems of being a Chihuahua. She's just like the best. She's a cat. I basically have 2 cats. Yeah. And it was her 15th birthday this weekend. And she's a Chihuahua. So we're like, it's a quinceañera, but her name is Bean, so it was a beanceañera. And it was a dog party in a local park, and a bunch of dogs came, and it was super cool. It was really enjoyable. I got to basically spend my whole Sunday hanging out with dogs, which is like, what more can you really ask for as someone in late stage capitalism, honestly?
Right. Yeah.
that was God. That was the ideal Sunday for me as a human. I really enjoyed myself.
Right.
But oh, you have something to say? Sorry.
I was gonna say, I was just like, I absolutely love your dog, or Adia's dog. I mean,
it's our dog. I mean,
yeah, you're our dog. Y'all's dog.
We're not married,
Bean is like one of just the best doggos.
She's chill. Yeah. She had like a whole ass dress on and a tiara. It was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. We went pretty hard. We made like dog cake. She was eating it. The other dogs were eating it. A lot of dogs showed up. Like there was like 7, 8, 9, 10 dogs, something like that. It was, and I got to meet a bunch of dogs and enjoy them, and that was cool too. But with that being said, Tom, we have a first for this podcast. Right. We talked about it last week. Do you remember what it was by chance? He's like, oh fuck. We have a guest. We have our first guest ever on this podcast, and bear with us, folks, because as professional podcasters, we're not very good at podcasting. It's very
You
new
can
to
tell
us.
by my blank expression that I know exactly what's going on.
We have a first on this podcast. We're bringing on our first guest. I will for future reference, or for I guess big picture. Essentially, this podcast was made to support indie developers and talk about indie games, but I want to expand that to basically anyone in the indie field that I can talk to or in the game field that I can talk to. And with that being said, the guest we have today is a friend of mine. His name is Matt, and he writes about video games for a video game place. I'll let him talk more about that. I think it's DualShockers. I forgot already. I'm going to be honest. I'm the worst. But we'll bring him on, and we'll let him talk about that. So without further ado, here's my friend Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
Hello, everybody. I totally buffooned your your introduction.
It was magnificent.
Honestly,
it was
Tom
like
was the star of the
introducing a
show.
duke, So
Tom was like, I already forgot we had a guest. I'm gonna be honest.
Tom's 1,000-yard stare saluted at it.
Well, welcome in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your relation with indie games. I don't know. If I can talk about yourself, brag a little bit, if you will.
All right. So I started writing about video games a couple of years ago to close out my journalism minor. And I never really stopped writing about video games from there. I really enjoy video games, and I really like to talk about them.
College boy.
Yeah.
Like you're better than us.
I-
I'm kidding.
So I
I didn't
reviewed
get
a
into
couple
St.
indie
Cloud
games
State.
before, but
Sorry,
I
what'd you
really-
say, Tom? Tom cut you off.
yeah. So I've written about a couple indie games before. Like I really like Hades. I was really excited to write about that one.
Ooh.
Wrote about Heat Signature. Wrote about Elderborn. Just to
And
name a few.
Just to confirm, where exactly do you write these video games for? If you have a specific place, because I think I fucked it up.
Yeah, no, so I write guides for DualShockers. So that's just kind of where I go and teach people, how to do certain things in a video game. Lately, I've been doing Deep Rock Galactic with like class guides or Elden Ring item locations and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
But on my blog is kind of where I do more reviews and give my opinions and just kind of talk about gaming stuff in general.
Definitely, and feel free to plug your blog. I mean, feel free, man. Plug your blog right now, and we'll ask for it later too. But right now, plug your blog. Go ahead.
It's called Journeys, or it's Clockwork Crucible. So
That's a good name.
regulatory.home.blog, where we put games through the ringer.
Just so you guys know, we'll add that in the show notes if you're ever curious about checking out his blog and also who he writes for as his normal guides as well. We'll plug both of those things. But today we do. I was talking to my friend Matt here, and I was like, hey, like we talk about indie games. Like, is there any specific indie games you want to talk about? He sent me a list back. Me and Tom looked at the list, and we chose one game from it that me and Tom had both played. So with that being said, today we are talking about a game called Katana Zero. Any initial thoughts on Katana Zero, guys, before we get into the whole spiel?
This game is awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking wow. There's just a lot.
Solid. Like this game is like one of the most solid, fun experiences you'll ever play.
It's
not even done yet.
It's not even done yet. Before we get really into it, there's a lot. There's a lot to this game. We're gonna try our best to do it justice, and we're gonna try to talk about it as best as we can in a voice format only. But honestly, this is just a disclaimer. You should just play it. like certainly before we even get started, you should just play it.
Man,
dude, trust me.
And there probably will be unavoidable spoilers in this. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, please do not listen to this episode. It is going to have them. I am sorry. With that being said, let's talk about what Katana Zero is. Now, Katana Zero is a neo-noir style game. It's an action platformer, and basically the claims to fame with this game is that it features nonstop, really fast action and instant death combat. And I think that that's what really separates it from other platformers where death takes a couple hits. In this game, you die in one singular hit. The game is developed by a company called Akisoft. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Basically, it's one single developer. His name is Justin Stander, and it was published by Devolver Digital. Devolver, or sorry, not Devolver. Akisoft has published, I think, 3 other games besides this that were basically like a build up to Katana Zero. So if you want to play anything by them, play this game.
Yeah, this is definitely their top selling one for sure. So I would definitely recommend anyone play this. Even if you're just beginning to listen to this podcast, I can just say play this game for the story, for the gameplay, for anything before we even get started, you know.
With that being said, I think we're going to move into the storyline first, as we always do.
Storyline.
Does anyone want to take the storyline away, or you want me to do it?
I guess that's you. I really like the therapist parts. That's kind of
yeah. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. So basically, Katana Zero is set in a dystopian metropolis. You want to think of it as like, you know, in the future, but not like crazy far in the future. Like Elon Musk probably just died. Like that's how far in the future we're talking about. It takes place after a 7-year war. And you take the role of Zero. His name is Patient Zero. He's a katana wielding assassin. The katana wielding assassin that you take the role of has special abilities. He can slow time and predict the future. And basically, this is a single player game where you assassinate drug wards on behalf of your therapist or psychologist, like Matt was talking about. And the murders are attributed to a serial killer. So that's the basic storyline without getting into too many like spoilers. But if we want to talk more about it, please feel free, gentlemen.
You want to hop on in here, Matt? I'm definitely down, just eager and listen to what you have to say. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this game, so it'd be cool to hear your side.
So starting off, the main character has amnesia. He doesn't really remember a lot about his past. So you kind of go in at the beginning of every mission. You wake up, you go to therapy, and you kind of talk about stuff, and you don't really know what's going on. And this is kind of where the game's dialogue feature comes in, where there's like time responses. Like you can just cut people off in conversation. You can just tell your therapist to shut up before he even starts talking.
It's super satisfying. It feels very real. The cutoff points, like I remember streaming this game and like the therapist would say something and then I'd be like, shut up. Like in the middle of him saying something, and it felt incredibly satisfying, which is a very unique point of this game.
Yeah, that's a great thing about the story of this game is that you can pay complete attention to it and like go through every bit and listen to what someone's got to talk about, or you can like literally not learn anything about this game, cut everyone off to like just like a point in this game that's just, but for some reason it's almost great just to like, especially if you've played this game and know the story, just to like get back into it. You know, it's fucking fantastic just to cut everyone off.
Yeah, there's like so much freeform into how you can shape the playthrough, like how you build like the character or in your personality. Like you could take no prisoners, ask no questions. You could actually interact with the story. You can do like some really goofy things too. Like my first playthrough, I told the receptionist I was a cosplayer, and then you just come back down the stairs covered in blood, and she's like, "No, it's cool. He's Pikachu."
It's fine. I think I did the exact same thing on my first playthrough as well.
And I actually replayed the game, and if the alternative is you make her like really mad, and then actually gets her killed because she's like a witness to the organization you work for takes her out.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that because God, it's been a just good grip since I've played like both playthroughs. Like I've played through this game like once solidly, you know, and I just kind of was refreshing myself with it again recently, and it's just it's great because like the storyline can be switched up just that little bit that it makes the game feel a little bit fresher, even though it doesn't change like a lot of the main elements and stuff. in that regard, it's kind of like a little bit disappointing that I wish it affected it more, but it's still a cool touch to the storyline.
There's
Definitely.
actually a really
Oh,
cool
sorry.
moment. So a bit later in the game, one of the baddies asks you for your katana to cut his cocaine. And if you're like, yeah, bro, party on, and you give it to him, you actually start the mission without your sword for a little while.
So that's something that I did want to talk about later when we get to a different part, but that's fine. We can talk about it now as well. Was that your actions have direct in-game consequences or changes to the game. Basically, your dialogue choices are active and in the moment, like we were just talking about. You have to make split-second dialogue choices, and based on what you choose, it will affect the game later, which amounts to a crazy amount of playthroughs. If you want there to be, you can play this game once and be incredibly satisfied, or you can keep making different dialogue choices and like having a different game every time. But it's just, in my opinion, it's just as satisfying every single time, no matter what you choose. So it's very unique in that concept where your in-game dialogue choices affect the actual outcome of the game fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
Cool. Well, does anyone have anything else to say about the storyline of the game, or do you want to move on?
Kronos is really cool. Like
For reference, tell us what Kronos is.
So Kronos is the medicine you receive at therapy, and it is a drug that has drastically shaped the way this world works. So Kronos is what gives you your time powers. It's what your relationship to the war is. But there's some really interesting features of Kronos, like people who get like trapped in time when they die on it and stuff. And like you can see how it shapes the main character because he has all these like weird, the audio's all distorted and he's tripping out, and like it's just like really weird gameplay because you'll like die to a boss and they'll be like, what are you doing here still, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it very much affected the storyline. I remember playing this live on stream, and it's very straightforward for a majority of the game. And then at one point, it hits like what you're saying, where they're like, "Why are you still here?" And then it's like the cookie crumbles, and you're just like, "Wait, what?"
We've done this before. What's going on?
Yeah, so it's very like a nothing is real moment, and I don't think any other indie game captures it as well as this one, where nothing is real all of a sudden, and you're like, I don't even know where this game is gonna go, and that's how I felt, and I just remember freaking out and playing it live and trying to like put the pieces together. So it ended up being like a mystery game to me, even though it wasn't anything of the sorts. It ended up kind of being a mystery game to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, you even begin to wonder that stuff like right at kind of the beginning, like because like almost at like a start of levels, and this is just beginning, so it's not even spoilers, but there's like kind of a point like where it'll be like, yeah, that'll work, and then it like replays, so it makes you feel like you've already done things that you have already done, and it kind of freaks your brain in that kind of sense too, like I don't know, like I kind of like that replay rewind weird feature at like the end and beginning of levels.
Or
Yeah,
even when you die, like it'll just rewind your entire attempt at life. And it'll just take it from the top.
Agreed. It's an amazing concept, and it fits perfectly into the storyline of the game based on the fact that, like Matt said, you get a drug basically injected into you called Chronos. I think I remember that.
There's like really nice image or like symbolism with like how everyone in this town is stuck in the past, like talking about the war and stuff, and there's just like this guy who's also stuck in the past, present, future.
I don't know if this fits into this segment because it's about the storyline, but something I was going to bring up later. I mean, it's about it, so I'll just bring it up. The creator of the game did say that he took a lot of inspiration from like 1980s post-war Vietnam feelings, which is really it is. I didn't live through that. I'm not that old. I didn't live through that era, but like when it's portrayed in cinema or when it's portrayed in video games, it definitely feels like the vibe you get from this game where like you go back to a town and everybody's different, everyone remembers the war, and what's become of our boys, our heroes that fought for us, is this really all we came back to? It's very that kind of vibe, but you take the main role in that story, and it's very powerful. And the story was something that I really connected with in this game, even though I've never lived anything like it. Like, it was just a very powerful underlying story for an indie game. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, like setting is everything to the story, and this one really fits. Like, it doesn't feel like the story is out of place conceptually with like where it takes place setting wise, and that's really satisfying to not just where the levels fit, but and the whole entire aesthetic of the game, but the fact that it fits the story is really nice.
You said that perfectly. That was a really good way to put that. The conception, the way you just said that was like just immaculate. You did a really good job there, Tom.
A little golf clap right there.
Kudos,
like-
kudos. Yeah, that was really well put. But it really does. It makes you feel for the character that you're playing. It makes you feel the storyline. You're not just. I mean, this game is in all things. It is a hack and slash. Don't get me wrong. It is a platforming hack and slash. But you feel for your character's story. You feel for the NPCs. You feel for a lot of stuff. And we'll talk about all that later when we get to content. I guarantee it. But you feel for this game a lot. At least I did personally. Did you guys too? I want to make sure I'm not just like, I felt for it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
No, this story is really gripping. And it's so interesting to play this character because they're whatever you want them to be. So like in a lot of ways, they are the player.
Yeah, because you're making your, like we said with the dialogue choices, you're making the choices, and it really plays out the way that the choices, you make.
You're given a lot of interesting choices to make.
It definitely, it's not quite like it's not like as deep as you would say like I'm thinking of like off the top of my head I can think of like Soma. Like, it's not like a philosophy morality based game, but you still have choices that are hard and difficult, and you have to come to grips with as a player, which is very interesting. With indie games, you don't see that a lot, at least in my experience. And
you got a time limit to choose.
Yeah, it's do not play this game if you have executive dysfunction.
Because it'll just choose automatically at the end if it goes down.
Maybe play it. I don't know. I'm not your boss. Does anyone have anything else to say about story though before we move on to graphics?
I think we've covered a good amount of it without getting like too much about like getting into everything about the story,
Yeah,
but,
no spoil, not like hard spoil. You're gonna get spoilers, but
you'll still get more spoilers, but
obviously, but either way, let's move on to graphics and art.
Graphics and
art. There's a lot to cover here, so if somebody wants to take it off, you can start. I'm cool with it.
I mean, it's just gorgeous.
At the end of the day, it's a beautiful game. And just for everyone who's unaware somehow, we are a live podcast. We do broadcast this live on currently we're broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, Block Bros Podcast. You can watch this live. It will be up on YouTube as well. You can see this game. It is a gorgeous game, just like Matt just said. You got anything to add, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot artistically wise to say about this game. Like, I mean, the way they use light in this game is unlike ones we've kind of talked about before. So this has more of like a more neon aesthetic in a way that previous games didn't have. Like, the way things are lit in this game, like everything kind of has a neon feel without overdoing it, like you can base like just character types just with a little bit of a neon glint, or the way like your character moves and slices, the way the neon colors bounce off the darker backgrounds is just something sheerly beautiful to behold in this game,
It kind of feels like futuristic, but 80s at the same time. It's like vaporwave kind of vibe.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that, and just some backstory. I did read the Wikipedia just so everyone's aware. The Wikipedia. This is this quote from the Wikipedia. The art was inspired by neon aesthetic of the poster from the film Drive, which was based in 2011. And the developer actually ended up going through a lot of like independent artists, like that he found online from various resources, and basically he would like hire someone, talk to them for a few weeks, they'd make like one or two things, and then they'd fuck off. So the developer, Stander was his last name, at the end of it, basically used one big neon lighting effect to blend all of those artists' style together. And this is a quote for him directly. He said, "It pretty much covered every single blemish." And he said it was a miracle that this game actually fully got edited well.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it somehow turned out to be a magnificent looking game in its own right.
Yeah, for the love of God, just taking like a mixed bag of like styles and trying to like merge them into something cohesive is something breathtaking in and of itself. Like, dude, if I've collaborated like with artists just like in the kind of tattoo and art world, and it is challenging as hell. So imagine like I do art, this other person does art, and this other person does art, but then you give it to another random person and say, hey, throw all this together into one cohesive style real quick and make a good game out of it. Like, dude, that is almost like impossible to think of. Like, I don't know, game wise it might be a little bit easier, but from an artist standpoint, that I don't think is, I don't know how it turned out so beautiful if that's how it happened, you know?
Yeah, it ended up just like we said, immaculate. Like just looking at it. Another thing that I think really sells it for me is like even when you're playing when you have the dialogue scenes, when you're sitting there and you're talking to your therapist, you're talking to an NPC, you're talking to whoever, the words are animated. Everything is animated with that little extra wobble to make it seem like if the person is hesitant, you can tell just based by text. There's no voice acting in the game. It's all text acting that you have to read, but you can definitely tell based on color or animation of the word how they're feeling when they say it. And that's amazing to see.
Yeah,
Right.
is it like Scary Red or is it RuneScape, Stock Exchange, Rainbow Dash, dancing text? I also
Forgot
think
about
that the character sprites they're like minimalist, but they're really well shaded and they have so much emotion somehow. And that's really helped by the words. But they're in the sprites even. Like when the therapist is angry or your target's begging for their life. There's a lot of personality in this game.
It's yeah, you can definitely feel every emotion, and I think that's what connects you back to the story. Like the graphics play such a vital role in connecting to the story in this game that I didn't see coming until I played it, and it was just wow. Like you know what people are feeling in the moment. You know there's no captivated lie. Like you can definitely tell if someone's angry, they're angry, or if they're begging for their life, you said they're begging for their life. Like you feel that when you're playing this game, and there's no special crazy effects like what we talk about with Enter the Gungeon or Dead Cells. It's just beautiful. It's very emotional and raw, but also captivating and unique.
Yeah, I'd say like graphically wise, this game like is just, you know, I don't often say like they use like the perfect amount of bits to like make a game, but this has like just the right amount like modern wise to like conceptually get everything. And the way like kind of like there'll be like when you use like time and stuff and like slow down time wise, the way the graphics change to like kind of animate that way is like a really cool effect. And it you can like you know, like sometimes slowdown effects in games like they just don't feel right, but this made like a nice cohesive adjustment, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't overbearing, but it also got the point across that time was slowing and that things were different in that moment. And I loved that about this. It just the graphics were not overbearing, but they were perfect for what you were doing in the game. There wasn't too much gore, and there wasn't like not enough gore. You know what I mean? Like it was just really well executed, even though, as the article said, it was a lot of different artists working on one project.
Right. And trying to like make neon actually look like neon as like, you know, it sounds really easy, but it's not, you know? Like that's
I don't know. Talk about that if you have a minute. I had
so
no idea from an artist standpoint.
so like yeah, just from art standpoint, like drawing neon you think is going to be like really easy, but the thing is if you like do like one thing that is slightly off, it makes everything look not real and how it's supposed to be. Everything looks neon in this game because they did it like the perfect kind of neon contrast way, you know, like that's a really hard, cool effect to pull off.
Awesome. I had no idea about that. I failed art way too many times.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So I love talking about art in these kind of games. Just my brain going about it. You know.
Yeah, it definitely opens up a new perspective for personally for me who's not art based. Like that's a really cool concept to think about.
Another random graphics thing I'll talk about in this game is you know how you can usually so there's a lot of screen shake in this game, and you can turn that down to 0, but you can also turn it up to like 800. You know, like you can it just goes beyond the bar, and you can just keep turning it up. Like so like you can literally have your screen shaking all over the fucking place in this game, and it makes it look totally different, and it just for some reason it's still playable. Like I don't know
I've never
how.
tried that, but I kind of want to know.
Yeah, dude, seriously, just turn it. You'll see the bar and just keep bringing it past. You could just keep bringing it. It's fucking nuts.
Did you have anything else to add about the graphics, guys?
I think it's kind of crazy how good it looks, despite the fact that most of the game kind of takes place in like a shithole. Like you're always in like the third ward, which is like just really run down and full of criminals, or like factories, the occasional nightclub.
You've apparently never been to like some places in Minneapolis that look run down as shit from the outside, but inside is completely popping. Like,
yeah, it looks gorgeous despite being like just cement and poverty and sadness.
I think that one thing that I really love about this game personally is the fact that I'm trying to remember. Sorry, what I was gonna say was like when we talk about backgrounds in other games, a lot of the backgrounds are like incredibly detailed and amazing, and this game has that same kind of vibe where like the backgrounds are incredibly detailed, but they don't put so much detail in them that it distracts from the foreground. Because like it makes it feel 3D while still being a 2D platform.
Yeah.
And like that's really a unique where it's like when we talk about Enter the Gungeon, where it's a top down dungeoneering game, like the background was not distracting because there was so much going on in the foreground. It's like almost the opposite in this game, or like similar, where it's like the background is pretty distracting, but it's distracting in a way that's really aesthetic, that makes it feel almost 3D, but you don't interact with the 3D components. Like they're just there for aesthetic purposes, but that's really cool at the same time.
Yeah, I have no more to pretty much say on that. I mean, as far as I can say, this game, like graphically wise, is one of the more beautiful games we've really kind of talked about. I know I've said like a lot of the other ones are beautiful, but this one really, it really just stands out conceptually wise, just with that neon kind of effect in this game. It stands out versus almost any game I've played, you know.
We gotta review a game we hate so people can get like a difference. Honestly,
yeah, like God, I do have some trash indie games, for sure.
Play the Smackdown.
Season 2 will just be like shit we fucking hate the podcast.
Right? Yeah, dude. For every good indie game I play, I'll honestly say I probably play like 8 bad ones. Like,
I mean, like maybe it's because I get mine recommended by other people, including Tom. But like, I don't really get a lot of bad indie games, but. I don't know, it's just me.
Yeah,
maybe I have a low bar.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's because like the more top tier ones are definitely more talked about. You know, I mean, once I play all those, it's like okay, better start. It's a very weird barrel. It's like there's top tier, and then you're almost scraping. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like
mid does not exist in indie.
It doesn't.
But with that being said, I think it sounds like we're time to move on to sounds and music. Yeah.
Sounds and music.
So we're gonna try first here. I have, if you're watching this live, which of course you can, it is a live podcast. We do have the videos queued up. We watch the game as we talk about it. Supposedly there's no talking in this and it's just supposed to be gameplay. I'm going to try to play it and we'll see if it sounds good. So you can get a vibe for the music in this game, because the music is a huge component that I would like to talk about. So for reference, you are entering a nightclub in the scene and the level is starting. I don't know how this sounds. Hopefully it sounds good, but this is one of my favorite levels personally. And while it plays in the background, hopefully it's not too loud. Hopefully it's perfect for everybody. We can talk about it. Do you guys have anything to say before I go on my whole rant about the music?
No, yeah, this is one of my favorite levels and favorite songs too.
Yeah, I got my booty pumping to this song when I played it live.
Oh yeah, it's a headbanger game.
Yeah, This, oh man, I listen to this like kind of just soundtrack sometimes when I'm doing art or tattooing or just need something to listen to in the background. This is, oh, the this soundtrack is beautifully made, like.
I think it features heavily, way heavier than other games we've talked about soundtrack wise. And like I said, I was a musician for a lot of years. The soundtrack in this game and the sound effects in this game were my basically favorite part. Besides the story, this is either a close second or a strong first. I cannot tell. But basically, to quote the Wikipedia, ad lib it. I did not know this beforehand, but it makes sense after I read it. Katana Zero has a synthwave score. It basically blends Chicago house and electronic music and synth pop. It was composed by two people. Their names are Bill Kiley, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. It might be Killy or Kylie, and this guy named Ludowick. And the music was inspired, like I said before, by like 1980s post-war Vietnam scenes. And essentially, he knew Bill Kiley. He had worked with them before. Stander, the guy who made the game, had known Bill Kiley. He'd worked with him on a couple other games, and he ended up finding Ludowick totally randomly on YouTube, which is super interesting that he ended up being chosen for this. But Kiley wrote all the story-driven moments where you're like have to make a tough choice, or you're in dialogue, or it's oppressive or hard. And Ludowick wrote all the high-energy scenes, like the boss fights or the levels and stuff like that. And that's super. And the other interesting part that I really, really like, it blew me away when I heard it. And you heard it at the beginning of this. I'm going to pause this just so we can be on the same page. But the thing that blew me away the most about this game was when I was listening to it, there's that moment when you enter the level and the music gets all wacky for a second. And it sounds like you're turning on a tape recorder or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like right at the beginning, like that's a really nice little touch. Yeah.
There's a specific reason that happens, and it's really interesting, is because Kiley worked with basically all modern, or Killy, whatever, sorry, worked with basically all modern equipment, like the synthesizers and stuff like that. And Ludowick worked with vintage stuff. So they were trying to find a way to blend those two styles to go from one to the other. And the only way they could do it is that they actually recorded the like rewind sounds of a 1980s Walkman to blend them together. That's what you hear right there is the blending of the sound from a 1980s Walkman to go from the old to the new. Isn't that crazy?
That is. Because like you
nuts.
start the tape and it shows you like the little song card comes in and shows you what you're listening to.
It's a banger. It's a banger. And that's the other thing. Everything in this is so, the sounds are just so good. Like they sound so good. They fit every single. I never ran into a part here where I was like, damn, the sound sucks, or damn, the sound's overbearing, or damn, like it was just perfect in every single way. I really loved all the sounds for this, and I'm not even an electronic music fan at all. I'm a metal guy. So if you guys have anything to add, feel free to jump in. I'm done with my spiel.
No, that was a pretty good spiel on all the music. I know you were gonna heavily like kind of go heavy on that, which is awesome because I love hearing about that from your side of view. But yeah, I'd say the music in this fits just as well as the setting and the story. Like everything feels like it has that kind of cyberpunk, dystopia vibe in like even the music kind of regards that kind of feeling put forth in the levels. Like sometimes the music even gets really somber in this game. Like too, like occasionally, like even like starting out it's just kind of somber, but like some parts like really get your blood pumping. But either way, it feels like it fits this game nicely.
100%. There was no point in the game where I felt like the music did not fit, which I know I've said about other games, but for this one, there was no point. Like there might have been some points in other games where I exaggerated a little bit, maybe. This game, I literally mean there is no point in this game the music does not fit. It feels like that was the primary focus, honestly, to me.
Yeah, just like the use of sound in general too, because there's no voice acting, but when people are talking, depending on their tone, the blips will sound different, or when they're like making a statement, there'll be like a crash.
For reference, I'll throw this in the background. There's talking going on in the video right now. Here we go. Keep going on. Sorry.
I just No, I lost. I lost it.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. But like, what are you saying was like when people are talking, the sound effects in the game sound different based on what they're saying. Like right
Yeah,
now, what
it
we're
is
listening to
just-
is dialogue.
It's just such a delight to listen to the whole time. It's like it's so groovy, but it gets really serious, and the emotions that it invokes is always really powerful. One way or the
100%.
other.
Yeah, wait, and I feel like what not to take your words out of your mouth or like impose myself. I feel like what you're saying is like when they're you can tell what they're saying because there's like cuts, like heavy cuts, heavy drum all of a sudden when something bad happens. Like you can definitely tell even without voice acting what people mean based on the sound effects, which is a unique thing that I don't think we've talked about in other games. Usually dialogue is very mundane and basic if you have to read it most of the time in other games, and in this game it's like cut and dry. Like you know what they're saying, you know what they're feeling because of the sounds and the dialogue put together along with the graphics and everything else we talked about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's just
definitely
really it's
agree
really
with that.
raw.
Sorry, I'm not trying to like cut you off. I didn't mean to be a dick or anything. You're the guest, you talk.
Oh, jeez.
Oh geez. Does anyone have anything else to say about the sound effects or the music? I know that was my big section, so I wanted to go a little hard on
No,
it.
you
Sorry,
nailed
guys.
it. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I just left it all there, and you're like, shit, there is.
The
scraps to pick
songs
up.
are really cool. Like it feels really cool to play this game, and the music definitely helps. But it's not all good vibes and cool groovy times all the time. It can get really
Yeah.
unnerving.
It can, yeah. It can, and like we talked about in previous episodes, it keeps you on your toes. Like when you're in a tense situation, the music definitely matches that. It's gonna give you anxiety. It's gonna be a good time regardless of how you're playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Features and content. Fuck it. I don't know.
Features and content.
Fucking, that was the best transition yet. Like, honestly, like, features and content. Fuck it, and then just okay, perfect. Best.
Oh, I know. I totally forgot to mention something too.
Is it feature
In the
content?
sound effects, you'll notice when Zero, the main character, talks to an NPC at any point when he's in a level, he takes out an earbud because it's like he's actually listening to the music he's listening to while he kills people.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's
like
a
a
really
part of the
subtle
game.
thing. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
really subtle thing, and I think that's why it's really cool when when you're listening to the music, the name of the track pops up, and it's like, here's what you're listening to, and that's cool because it's like you're actually listening to it while you're fucking murdering people.
Yeah, you get to actually be a samurai with like a Walkman.
Right,
Samurai Walkman.
That's
fantasy.
just another rad small thing, like another small touch to the sounds and whatnot. All right, now roll that again. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Features and content.
Yeah, welcome to Sound Part 2, the section.
Sound Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'll be your host, Shot as a Ginger. Now, we're going on to content. Content, as everyone who has listened to this podcast once has figured out, it's where we just throw everything that we want to talk about the game with. I have a lot here. Anyone feel free to jump in. I'd like to start with the combat, if that's cool with everybody.
Yeah, that's cool.
What do you got to say about the combat?
Man,
Well, this isn't where I would have started, so I thought you had something.
Oh no, I do. I was
Yeah, go nuts.
basically
we're trying to be good hosts.
yeah, I'm trying to give you the time to talk. Jesus Christ, you're our first guest. I'm trying to give you. Okay, anyways,
We don't know what to do with guests yet. Do we hold them
it's just me.
prisoner?
It's me and Tom. Do I don't know. Combat. The thing I love about combat in this game is it's just easy to start there because it is a large part of the game. Is that every single thing in this game, including you, dies in one hit. It makes the game feel fluid. It makes the game feel fun. It's transparent. You know, they know, like, if you get hit, you're dead. If you hit them, they're dead. There's no bullshitting. There's no talking about it. It's just very fluid and very fun for that reason. And that's my main purpose about the combat. That was pretty much all I had to say about it.
Yeah, like the whole one hit, one kill really works in this game's favor. It feels like it's supposed to be that way in this game. Like you're supposed to fucking everything is on you combat wise to make this game feel fucking awesome. And when you nail like a level combat wise, it feels fucking great,
For sure. That's why I like how like it replays it, so you just get to watch your masterpiece.
Yeah.
Either masterpiece or failure. Like that's the main thing. Like it's one of the two.
Panic.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, I should not. But it also gives you that option, because when you complete a level or when you die, it replays the level so you can see what you did, or you can replay the level to see what you did as like a video. And it gives you the option to think about your choices that you made and how you could do it better, to look around and be like, oh, there's a bottle there, I could have thrown that, or I could have jumped here. It definitely lets you relive your choices in a way that I don't think a lot of games capture, in an effective and fun way that doesn't make it feel like shitty that you fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's so ingrained in the game's DNA that you don't even notice it as odd. Like it becomes second nature. Like you just like again. That's how I was. I was doing the
100%
mode on hard earlier, and that mode's crazy.
Yeah, I'd say the combat in this game definitely matches the movement feel in this game. Like it's nice feel wise. Like your combat matches up like sword wise moves. The momentum can carry into your movement, which really feels like a nice combat move too, to get to like another enemy quicker, or like what we were talking about, planning your strategies next time. You can just switch up like the way you went about it, and it feels great to nail it every time.
Yeah, there's a high reward like factor in this game, like where you, when you finish a level after failing it so many times, it just, holy shit, does it feel good. And like along the same lines, the combat, the actual swinging of your sword, because like the graphics play into that too, where like they don't skimp on gore, but it's not like it's pixel gore, it's not gory, but like cutting a dude in half feels amazing in this game.
Yeah,
It makes you feel like a yeah, it makes you feel like a fucking samurai. It makes you feel like you're just wielding a katana and you can bend time to your will. It's awesome. It's empowering.
Yeah. Hitting bullets back too.
Oh, talk about that.
Good.
Go ahead.
So while you're slowed down with time, or even when you're not, if you're a god, you can hit bullets back at enemies, but you can only really hit one per slash. So there's ways the enemies kind of work around that, but it's always really satisfying to pull off. And there's that sound it makes when you do it. It's just, you feel like you did it right.
It plays into what we talked about with like the sound design as well. Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I used to like Google games that make you feel like a badass, and I was just like, I want to play a game like that. And I was just like looking for top 10 lists, and this game wasn't around back then, but it would be at near the top.
It'd probably be at like 8 or 9 on my list personally for badass game feeling.
You're like katana wielding John Wick in this fucking game, and it feels awesome. Like, I don't know. That's the most American way I can kind of describe it, because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, fucking Keanu Reeves." Like, goddamn, it's Keanu Reeves with a katana. Okay.
Wake up, samurai.
Since I chose the last thing, and you said that's not where you would have started, you're the guest. Where should we go next?
Okay, so this might be kind of weird, but I really like the achievements to this game.
You know what? You talk about. I have zero idea. I'm just gonna let you run on that one.
So
maybe I just didn't get any or didn't notice them.
Well, that's the thing, because there's no achievements for just like beating a level or like killing a boss. There's like ending related ones, but most of them are for just doing goofy stuff. Like one of them is for making the reception. You lead her into the dialogue pad that lets you say you sprung my trap card.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget there's a few wacky ones that go with
like or petting the cat one. You pet the cat a lot, you get an achievement.
Right? Yeah. God, I always forget about game achievements.
Yeah, I love hunting achievements and stuff, and it's always really cool when like a game is fun to try to get all the achievements in instead of just like a miserable experience.
Yeah, like some games, achievement hunting is definitely quite the BS kind of thing, like especially ones that are just locked for like, whether or not like just time's sake and like hundreds of hours sake. These feel achievable and very fun to get.
Yeah, and they're all hidden, so like it encourages you to replay the game, which isn't a hard ask.
No, yeah, 100%. I love. I mean, I didn't ever realize I got achievements. I probably did get one or two, being generous to myself, maybe like
Oh, yeah.
0. But I'm pretty sure I probably got like 1 or 2. But it was never like for something like you said, like you don't complete a level and like here's an achievement. Fuck you. Here's your first prize for completing this level. Everyone did it. It's like pet that cat a million times.
Or yeah, Tom may have gotten the one where you like hang up on your therapist enough.
Yeah, like that's God. I
It's
love
like called
just
out like passive aggressive damage or something like that.
yeah. It's
I
not
think
my
you're
fault.
actually
This
kind of close.
game,
I think.
yeah,
Oh
this
my
game
God.
like opens with you being able to hang up on him like 4,000 fucking times. Like,
Yeah, I took okay. This might be a side note, and it might come back when we talk about favorites and stuff. But I hung up on that motherfucker every single time. It was a power move. It was a
Oh,
power
yeah.
move to be able to be like, "Fuck you, I want to hang up on you," and felt good. Felt good.
goddamn, it's like you're taking out all your aggression where you want to hang up on everyone in real life. This game is like perfect for like getting that urge out. Like,
No, it is. It feels good because like it goes along with the like what we talked about before with like the graphics and the sound. Because like when you hang up on someone, like it feels aggressive and like that's asking a lot. Like imagine hanging up on someone in another pixel game. Like hang up on someone in Grand Theft Auto. You press the button and the phone disappears. In this game, it is aggressive. It's like you hang up on it and the phone like clicks and there's a slam and like the phone like shatters. Like it's funny. It feels good. You can definitely feel the story through the actions or inactions of what you do, and like that's hard to receive from a lot of pixel games, but they nail it with this one.
Yeah, the way that just their sentence falls apart when you hang up. It's like it just crashes, and they're like, "Oh, never mind. I don't need to say that."
You know what? It's fine. I wasn't gonna like say
Like,
anything.
And if you're trying to ignore the story, this is going to be like the best feature ever. And we weren't even trying to ignore the story, and we think it's the best feature ever.
I'm not gonna say I wasn't trying to ignore the story. I don't know what I was doing.
When you get to pick and choose, it's like when you're doing the cool stuff you care about, or then when you're at therapy and you're like, "Listen, dude, I know something's wrong with you."
Oh, dude, I don't know. This is gonna come in. I'm gonna say it later. I'm gonna say it later. But it got to the point where I would like let him talk for like a couple words, and then I would be like, "Fuck you."
Actually,
And like I have like clips of me being like he would start a sentence and I'd be like reading it to chat, and then I'd stop and I'd be like, "Fuck you."
yeah, I've been having really violent dreams. Oh, you want to get into that? No.
nah.
No, I'd be
Just
like,
give me my
yeah.
fucking
I'd be
Give me
like,
the
drugs.
medicine.
I'd be like, yeah, and then I'd let him talk for like 5 seconds, and then I'd be like, yeah, fuck you. It's maybe I'm an asshole. I don't know. It felt good though.
No, I did
Oh,
that.
yeah.
He like kicks you out at one point.
Yeah, he's like,
"You
you know
are-
what?
Come
Fuck
back,
you.
come back tomorrow, bro." And it's like part
Yeah.
of the story because you don't get your drugs that day. And it's like your choices have consequences, and it's just really cool.
What do you mean? This is the consequences of my actions. This is bullshit.
Right.
This is bullshit. First
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah,
All right.
like closing
I
out my
chose
therapist.
one. I chose one. Matt chose one. Tom, what do you want to talk about in content?
Ooh, let us talk about we'll just go level wise. Like that seems like something fun to talk about in this game. Like I really like a lot of platforming games, and
Mhm.
sometimes it just no matter how many platforming games you play, like some like it feels like the combat doesn't fit it, or the way you move doesn't fit those levels. These level structures feel just right with your movement sake in this game. Like it's very designed around your movement, so you can use actually the levels to your advantage on how to beat people sometimes. Like opening doors can even like fucking surprise people and have effects. There's a lot of just things level wise in this game that work to make the game better.
Exactly. And I think that's something that's underrated in this game. And from replayability, people will realize this is that it doesn't matter how you complete the levels. Like there's a literally a million different ways. And I'm not saying like you have to replay the full game to get this concept. I'm saying you can die and be like, I'm gonna try something totally wacko this time and complete the level fully different than the previous time a second ago when you died. There is no structured way to complete the levels in this game, and it allows you to have like some sort of freedom that makes the game feel astronomically better than if it was like I have to throw this bottle. Like, no, I don't have to throw this bottle. I can't even tell you how many games like or how many levels I ended up like I can tell like they want you to throw the bottle. That's cool. And I like jumped up into the rafters, waited for someone to come and like Batman down on them, like, where are my parents? And like, you know what I mean? Like there was times where I did like wacko shit and it worked and it made the what am I trying to say? I can't. The agency as the player feels so good that you don't have to be shoehorned into doing it one way.
Yeah, and they balance it really well because if you hang on to throwable stuff, you don't like get it for the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't like punish you if you like get to an encounter and you used all the tools you had available in the last encounter. Well, now you're coming into this one empty-handed. And there's actually like a really funny moment later in the game where they have like a gun and as one of the throwables, and it's just in front of you. It's like right before an open or like a closed door. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna grab this gun and go in the level. And you're expecting him to shoot it, and then when you press the button, he just throws the gun like unceremoniously, just like the knives or the pots. He just yeets it. That moment, even on my second playthrough, I forgot about it. So I was just like, that is hilarious. Like the way they framed that, like it's gonna be a whole thing.
I think that leads me into another thing I want to talk about in the content of this game is and I don't think I added this even to the outline was like the humor, and we've talked about humor in other games.
Once again, the humor.
It's really just fucking funny, bro. Like it's messed up. It's very lifelike. That there is like for reference, we are watching the game being played. We talk about this all the time. We're a live podcast. You can watch it live with us while we talk about it. And there's this one part in the game, and this is a spoiler, so sorry in advance, where one of the enemies breaks into the apartment next door and he tortures your neighbors. But like that scene starts out with them like just smoking weed on the couch, like just talking about shit like it's normal, and then like hear a knock at the door and like, oh damn, it must be pizza, bro. And they like walk to the door and like he kicks in the door and starts like torturing them. And then it shows the and honestly, you can feel the torture through the pixels. It's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the humor in this game is great. It's dark, it's fucked up, but it's human and really well designed. I don't know how they did it so well, but holy shit, it's funny and fucked up. Almost, I would compare it to very similar to like Dead Cells, where it's like it's really messed up, but it provides the humor to keep you like, oh shit, I gotta keep watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk about humor, I gotta reference my boy Strong Terry, who is just like he's mostly in legend amongst the NPC's dialogue, but he's just some normal enemy that you just kill on a whim. And like you kind of hear some NPCs talking about him before you meet him. And NPCs are mad you kill this guy. Like they like avenge Strong Terry, or there's like another group of enemies who are just initiating one of them into their cult of Slim Rickies. Because he wants to graduate from a Slim Richard to a Slick Ricky, right? And they really fake him out. And they're like, oh, you unfortunately did not pass until you chug this beer. And then he's like, yeah, and it's the best day of his life. And then you cut him in half.
Dark humor. It's
like you can just kill them and not let them finish their sentences, or you can like listen to them and live in their weird world.
And it is a weird world. Like we said, it's dystopian future bullshit, but it's good. It's fun and it's enjoyable in its own right.
So on the topic of levels, back to what Tom was saying, what was your guys' favorite level?
The nightclub. 5 sure. And this is gonna come back later because I wanted to talk about this as well. I hate stealth. Absolutely despise stealth. But the nightclub level was really fun, even though it was heavily involved in stealth, because the soundtrack was baller, the graphics were amazing, and the end product where you're interrogating the DJ at the top of the level, and then he just gets murdered brutally, like by someone that isn't you, and it introduces a whole new thing. Is just I was like that. I think that was the point where I was like, wait, what the fuck is this game? Like that was where I had that moment.
I don't want to derail you, but that is where the story really started to turn, because if you don't hang up on your therapist, he tells you like to not talk to the guy, and like in your dossier it says that he's like a serial liar, but he's actually the one that like wakes you up to what's going on around you if you talk to him.
It's like the
obviously.
turning point. It's like the big what the fuck.
And, so it is like it's where you start to doubt your therapist and stuff.
And it really did. I was playing the game live, and I was talking about it on stream, and I was just like, "What is going on? Like, I cannot." And I straight up was like, at that moment, I was like, "I'm not leaving until I know what the fuck this game is." Like, it was a very big turning point for me, because before that, I was like, "Oh, it's like a platformer, hack and slash, whatever." And then when that happened, I was like, "I gotta know. Like, I have to know." So I think that's why maybe it's ingrained in me as my favorite level. What about you, Tom? You got one?
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a good one. I kind of randomly I can't remember the specific name of the level, but the one that takes place in the daytime at that tower. That's a really that's a really cool
at the
one.
end.
Yeah.
Or not the guy at the end. He's not a boss technically.
Yeah, he's really cool and fun.
Like the guy who jumps, right? Or no?
Yeah, I was gonna say spoiler.
Well, no, that's like the second level or the first.
Yeah, he kills himself.
Right? Or are you talking about a different one?
Is it the one you're talking about, Tom?
Yeah, that's the one I like. I just like the scene in that one. It's very different from the rest of the world and gives like almost a daytime approach where everything else is dystopian. It kind of feels out of place, but it feels like among like the heights and what like is on the other side, which is like something that, is like it disguises the rest of the world to like the people above. It's just fucking. It looks cool. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's like the rich. It's like the rich or the poor. Like, because a lot of the game, like you said, takes place in the third ward, the poor parts of the dystopian future, and this is like the ritzy, nice parts where like a crime lord lives, and like it definitely has that vibe where it's just like, oh, this is feels nice and better, and you get to the end, and spoiler, the dude kills himself. He jumps off the edge. And total side note, when I was playing the game, I was like, I'm gonna follow him, and I just jumped off the edge.
That's an achievement. So you did get one.
And the level just like restarts, and I was like, I really thought that would do something.
Well, yeah, it got you the achievement.
But it also I feel like, because I think the nightclub level is like a level or two after that, but that level kind of starts the questioning. It's like, because he doesn't answer anything to you. He basically is just like, oh, you're here finally, whatever, like kill me, little bitch, like essentially, and like he doesn't answer anything. And it just kind of starts the questioning. This game does a really good job of leading the questions without providing an immediate answer that makes you want to stay and figure out what the fuck is going on. Like,
right? Yeah, I get that same vibe from this game all the time.
And when it comes down, and when it does come down, because it will, your cookie will crumble. It is good, and it is fun, and it is mind-bogglingly well made for an indie game.
On that same level, I really like how you start with the receptionist, which is like some of my favorite dialogue.
Yeah. The receptionist is just top tier.
The level starts with you like killing a guy, and then the other guy in the elevator is like, "Oh shit, boss!" And then he like goes back up, and then after you go through the level and the guy kills himself, on your way back, the elevator opens and you just kill him.
It's just like, it's super satisfying. This game knows how to bait you into staying, and also how to satisfy why you stayed. And I think that's a really unique feature that you don't get a lot of the time from other games, I think.
Yeah.
Keeps you coming back, but in a good way, not like in a shitty way.
Right.
Along the same lines of content, I did want to talk about stealth in this game, and how it does become a vital part of the game. And I think that was my only like big about the game. Like, I don't love playing stealth games. Like when I played like Dishonor, I did like the kill everyone mode. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I never really care about stealth, and to be forced stealth is not something I enjoy. I get why they did it, but it's just
Yeah,
Fully
I'm not
forgive.
patient enough for stealth, honestly. Like, I can't fucking sit there and goddamn wait. I want to run in, like, kind of like goddamn guns blazing almost sometimes, you know? Like,
Yeah,
it
and there
just,
are certain levels where you have to be stealthy. You can't
No, it's
do anything.
optional.
yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it felt,
It
I don't
makes
know.
well,
Okay.
it makes your organization mad, but who cares about
But
those
no,
guys,
not
right?
even organization. Like it just felt a little like it felt a lot harder to play it not stealthy. I know that like for instance, I'm gonna reference the nightclub level. Like it's very difficult to get through that level without being stealthy.
Yeah. Well, you
At
only
least-
have to be on the beginning.
Yeah, but like that, I mean, that took me a minute. I don't know, maybe I'm just shitty, but it took me a minute, and I was like, all right, this is the only way I can see to get through this is to be stealthy, which kind of sucked for me, but I got through it. But it was just, it felt a little bit forced, and I didn't love that. But it makes sense with the way that the game is played, in my opinion.
Well, my level, thanks for asking, is
Oh shit, I totally forgot. I'm sorry. No, you
Is
know
it-
what? You're the guest. You don't get a level. Taking that away, just let me give it back. Thank you for
No,
that. Thanks for
no, I'm
coming.
saying it anyways. It's actually the one on screen right now, the area or the lot 51 one, where
Yeah.
it's like all you have to basically go through every floor to unlock the top floor, which is where the guy you're chasing is at. And
Mhm.
this is the level where if you cut his cocaine, you start without your katana. You have to go through all these like movie sets. And like the basement's like a minecart platformer.
Yo,
There's
the
like
okay.
there's
Yeah,
like
the
a Silent
platforming.
Hill level. It's just a lot of fun. And then the
The
final boss at
minecart
the end is where
platforming.
things get a little trippy again.
Sorry. The minecart platforming, I actually have a pretty great clip from that where I made it all the way to like the end where like I got to, because basically it's like a whole ish minute and a half of platforming, like really hard platforming that you have to do very fast, and it takes a couple tries, at least for me it did. And I got through it and I was like, yeah, I made it, and I was at the end, and you have to wait for your minecart to catch up, because like you get to this platform and then you wait for your minecart to catch up, and you have to just jump back on it and you ride it down, and that's it. That's the level. And I got to the end after like, I don't know, probably 20 tries, and I was like, fuck yeah, we're done. We made it. Minecart caught up. I missed the minecart. And there's just like a video of me being like, God fucking like throwing the controller and shit. It was so real, dude. The frustration on some of the, like, this game is hack and slash and it's story based and really good, but the platforming sometimes it's fucking difficult.
Sometimes, man. Well, it's like it's
Yeah.
cool because there's not a lot of levels like that.
Yeah, it was very unique in its concept, and I really enjoyed it.
It's just a lot of fun.
Right? Yeah, it's almost like one of those kind of challenge kind of levels where you got to be precise in like your timing. And speak of the devil, here is my
Here's the
Yeah, there
minecart.
it
Yeah.
is.
right. But yeah, like, oh man, the first time if you made it through this level, if you've played this game and you've beat this level without like having to die, I don't know how the fuck you did it. Like,
Are you on
It's-
Chronos?
yeah.
You can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, we don't want any.
But if you have some, you have to legally let us know. I mean, we reviewed the game. You have to tell us. This
Yeah,
guy
we're
is
sponsored by
this guy-
Chronos.
We're actually today's podcast is sponsored by Chronos. And then someone makes a rewinding time sound effect or whatever. I don't know whose was better. Chat, you decide. If you don't say me, I will cry. No, but I got to this part, and then I was like, easy, and I just missed.
It's oh man, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
cool
hurt.
to have a different thing to do with your time powers.
It hurt, bro. Is there anything else in the content that we should talk about? Did you NPCs is important. Did you have a favorite NPC, and if so, who was it?
Strong Terry's a contender. You know, Strong Terry and Slim Ricky.
I was gonna say, goddamn I don't know about the rabble in this town with Slim Ricky and goddamn. Oh man.
I gotta
I'm a
think
fan
about
of-
it. Yeah, what's your guys'?
I think mine was in the first. I think it's the first level, the scientist who thinks you're the pizza guy, and then his head explodes, and it's traumatic as fuck.
Oh yeah,
It's
he's
like
oh, you
really-
saved me.
Oh, you saved me! Oh my god, thank you so much! And then his head explodes, and you're like, I didn't do shit. Like it really fucked me up, and it stuck with me for a minute. But that's definitely my favorite, or possibly everyone's favorite contender is the little girl next door. She's everyone's favorite contender, I think. She's a very vital, important part of the story. So
I think she was who I was thinking about it.
You can't ignore her, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to.
You can't hang up on her. She doesn't have a phone. She talks to you face to face like a savage.
Like a fucking psychopath. Who does that shit, bro?
I'm gonna mod this game so you can just hang up in her face, like hang up, like fucking, and
just push
leave.
her. You just push her out of your way, like no.
Bye, bitch. Like, man, I don't know. I know we talked about him earlier, but the guy's like just that scene where they're getting stoned on that couch and just talking shit. Like, fucking, I'm like, God, this is. It's the pizza guy. I'm like, that's exactly how I'm gonna fucking die.
Well, yeah, it's like, is this the cops? It could be, but it could be the pizza guy.
Yeah,
like, you could literally like take a hit.
I love them because like you don't see them before that point. The only thing you see before that point is like they're just partying all the fuck. They're just loud next door. They're just like dude, all the time. And then all of a sudden you get this VHS from a dude torturing and killing them because their music is too loud for you supposedly. It's this game is just so good.
All they do is smoke weed and party. Like that's all you ever see them do in like silhouette form.
And they get tortured forever.
I take it back. I think another one of my favorites is the okay, this is really reaching, and people you're gonna see it eventually. But there's this one scene where you're laying in bed, you're asleep or whatever, and these guys in two masks comes in, right? And one of them is incredibly well spoken. They're like, hearken the two fates, tragedy and comedy, and they have this like huge speech, and then at the end the other guy's like, yeah, hearken, bitch. I'm like, he's my favorite. I want him to be my favorite, I think.
The death mask guy.
Yeah, he's just basically he doesn't say anything. He's like the hype guy. He's just in the background like, yo, you about to die, motherfucker. While the other guy's like spitting Shakespeare. It's insanely funny, insanely good. I read the whole thing on stream and I was like getting really into like the voice. Like I was giving them voices and going hard, and then I'd read the other guy and I'd just be like, yo, what's up, man? Because that's just how like I said, the characters in this game, despite having no voice acting, have voice acting. And you can tell who they are as people, and it's beautiful in its own way.
So I have a question about what classifies as an NPC.
Yeah, I mean
before I can choose, I need to know if Dragon counts.
Yeah, Dragon would be in it. I mean, he's a boss and an NPC, so I guess that can lead into boss fights after this. Well, we'll run boss fights after this, but yeah, Dragon counts, I would say.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, no, because you can play him. He can't. He's not a non-playable character.
He's a non-person character for most of the game.
Yeah, that's why it's tricky, but he's definitely the coolest.
He is pretty cool. I'll give it to him. He's pretty neat. He's a pretty neat guy. Was there a specific reason he was your favorite? Any scene that spoke to you?
When I was replaying the game and I was playing his levels, I'd always just beat an encounter and I'd be like, wow, Dragon is so cool. Because he like takes how you feel like a badass when you're playing Zero and he just amps it up.
There's no emotional damage with Dragon. Yeah. You don't got any story. It's just being cool all the time.
It's like there is story because he goes to the prison when you get to play the level where you show up to the prison and everyone's already dead after your agency's just like, all right, don't kill anybody. You messed up last time if you're me and didn't stealth the prison. You didn't stealth. And then you just get to do the killing where everyone already showed up. Mm-hmm. And like that's optional. You don't even you can miss that ending.
Yeah, I guess I never got that. Sorry.
Yeah, there's secret endings for boss fights in this game, and some of them, my God, I mean, if y'all look up probably bosses in this game, you're probably gonna get like images of like probably a secret psychiatrist one, and he is probably the most fucked up looking boss I've ever seen in a video game, honestly. Like, just looking at him, he is oh my god, he's just a mess of shit.
Did you guys have a favorite boss fight? I'm gonna say it's a generic one, so you can choose.
Mr. Kissy,
Okay,
or
that's
I
a good
think
one.
that's his name.
I really like the motorcycle level.
Oh, that's a good
That
one.
was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. Like it was just like
Motorcycle chase.
you're
Yeah.
suddenly having a motorcycle chase, and it was really cool. And I just remember being like, this is action movie badass. Like, did you
Right.
have one, Tom?
It's kind of hard to choose for me.
You could
What
choose
was
the
it?
same
What was
one if
what was
you
her name?
want.
Like Headhunter or whatever that one. Oh
I
my
think
god.
the chick at the end with the gun, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
exactly.
what you're talking about. That one is
Yeah.
really cool. That's because that's
Yeah.
another
The
no.
chick at the end with the gun.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
her name.
He got it.
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
I just wanted to say it.
yeah, I thought it was Headhunter. I was like, I could be wrong. Don't fucking quote me on that. But she's a really cool boss. I thought, like, I don't know. It felt like everything was like on equal kind of ground,
Yeah.
but she was like really difficult. Like,
She had the time powers too.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it was really interesting like that.
Yeah,
That's why I liked Mr. Kissy, because that was like right before you're being interrogated, and the guy's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, how many times have I interrogated you?"
This
Because
is
you're
getting
like
ridiculous.
you're talking to him about stuff he said before, like right before he shot you. And you're like, "Oh yeah, don't be late for your date." He's like, "How do you know about that?"
Yeah, getting stuck in the time loop was and that's a spoiler obviously, but getting stuck in the time loop was just, it threw me off so much because like
no spoilers, wink.
it's really I don't know, like it feels like Inception but an indie game, and like it's really cool. Like it's just very hard to keep track of a lot of shit, and it feels good to play. And I think the most digestible and best part about this specific game is that you can play it in one sitting for one through, like 4 hours, 5 hours. You got 4 hours, 5 hours to kill. You can play an entire run through and enjoy it thoroughly, no matter your skill level. I think that was the important part. Because like I'm not crazy good at like platformers or anything. I'm not crazy good at anything. I'm just Todd. But I fucking ran through it in like 5-6 hours on stream and had an impeccably great time as an average run through, and still can give you all these details. You know what I mean? Like, and that's unique for replayability indie games, I would think.
yeah, I'd definitely say so too.
Awesome. Did you guys have anything else you want to add in like the combat section? Or sorry,
have
not
a
the
question.
content
gotcha.
section. My bad. Fuck.
I have a question for you guys.
No,
Yeah.
no question. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
How often would you think you guys used, like, would you say you used the slow time power?
I think I forgot about it, honestly.
That's kind of what I like, though. The fact that it feels optional and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel overpowered. Like
There's very few times where you like need it to win.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Mhm.
I remember like earlier today I was like doing a section and I would do it in slow motion, but like then I realized that like if you do the button inputs like really fast, like it still happens at that rate. You just have more time to process it when time's slow. So the way
I
it
think
works,
it helps. It
like you
helps you
practice.
learn.
Yeah.
It helps you learn the parts that you struggle with, but it's not necessary to actually get the completion of the game or feel good.
Yeah, people
Which
out
is
who are watching me play it were just like, you don't use the time power as often as I did. And I'm like, oh.
Well, I think I run into that problem with a lot of games though, where I don't utilize like for reference, like Hollow Knight and shit. I don't utilize anything in Hollow Knight. It's just me hacking and slashing the whole way through. And I definitely took the same approach with this game.
No, that's fair. It's fun either way.
And I think that's the other thing is like you're just not shoehorned, and we've talked about that before in other games like Dead by Daylight, or not Dead Cells. Don't mind me talking about Dead by Daylight. I bitch about that a lot on stream. Dead Cells or like Moonlighter or even Enter the Gungeon. There's no shoehorning in any of those games, and you don't feel like you're losing agency to not use your time powers in this game. Like if you can play the game at fast speed and play it effectively, hell yeah. And if you can't, you have a fallback that doesn't make you feel like a bitch, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. It doesn't feel like you need it. It feels like occasionally you want to use it,
Like it even feels cool to use. So like,
Yeah.
you could use it for flair if you wanted.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna execute this guy, but I want to see his head split in half. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Was there anything else in content? Or should we move on to controls?
I think we've mostly covered choices and stuff that kind of affect in this game. To like get a degree of it though, like I kind of like the choice aspect in this game that keeps everything fresh. Like, and we'll talk about more through repeated playthroughs later. But I mean, like the dialogue in itself and the choices it offers is much more of a variety we haven't seen in games we've talked about before, because no game has really had dialogue until we've talked about this one. But this one does dialogue in such a natural kind of way. Like some choices you feel like you would never like answer that way or say things that way. This game gives you a nice feel natural approach to how every character would speak to each other.
Yeah, and even on the dialogue standpoint or the choices standpoint that you're saying, a lot of the choices I made in my first run through were panic choices that I did not make in my second run through, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen if I don't choose something. And like, you get the option to, try again, but in a different in a way that changes the game. Your choices directly affect how things are going to go to a certain extent, and that's super neat and fun. Like in the first run through, you're going to panic and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have chose that. I should have chose a different thing. And then in the next run through, you don't have to choose that thing. You can choose a different one, and that's cool. It directly it's not like the replayability where we talked through with other games where like in Dead Cells or Edge of the Gungeon or Moonlighter, you have to replay to either get a different ending or to get a different setup, or the replayability is because you get a different weapon. In this game, it affects the story, it affects the dialogue, it affects what you're doing or how you're reacting to things. And the story is the top tier. It's the end all be all,
Yeah, there's just like a lot of fun choices to go for. Like, I'm replaying out of curiosity.
Yeah, you're like, maybe I didn't receive the ending that I wanted that time. Let's see what happens if I replay and choose some different stuff.
Yeah, choices are nice and rewarding in this game, and equally as failing, and it's just fun to mess around with them.
Cool. Everyone cool with moving on to controls?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah.
Neat.
Closing thoughts.
I clicked the wrong button. Hold on.
Movement and controls.
I'm a pro podcaster.
I was going to say we got better at transitions, but I guess I was wrong.
Damn, we just fucking nailed it. So the one thing I will say about the controls is that the creator directly said, and this is a quote from him, that most modern games were quote unquote too forgiving. And another quote he said was that if you die in this game, if you try to die, it should be easy to die. And I think that's basically how it feels to play. That this game is not forgiving. It's one hit, one kill for everything besides bosses, obviously. And if you actively do stupid shit, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, God, this game, control-wise, is equal parts rewarding and equal parts punishing. It feels like every move you did was your fault. Like, you can't just rush into this game, but you gotta be, like, you have to have that, like, kind of, like, game mode switched on in your brain that your hands kind of take over and know what you're going to do next, Like, and it feels rewarding to have that kind of control over a game.
Definitely. And it also feels like even if you're panicking and you're just making split-second choices, because that's a lot of this, that the ends justify the means. If I make it through the level, it doesn't matter how I made it there. All that matters is that I fucking made it.
Right.
I feel like it helps that when you're in the air or just when you're slicing, like when you kind of dash or jump in the direction you're slashing. So in a way, by attacking, you're still moving forward or you're still moving. So
yeah, it's a very over exaggerated flow, and it feels good and sustainable and fun to dash towards someone and slash open a door, because it's gonna move you forward towards them as well, like you were saying.
Right. Yeah. The momentum carry in this game per sword swing feels like it should carry you that far. It's not short. It's not far. It's just that right amount, to give you that slight boost. But it feels good to work into the controls just with the attacks, like you were saying.
Hell yeah. It just feels good. Honestly, there's no other way to describe it other than play it and feel how the game works. Because the controls I feel like are less of a big part about this game than the actual storyline or any other aspect, but the controls do fit perfectly in with how the game feels or how it responds or how it acts. It fits in perfectly, even if it's not the biggest part of it. Like when we talk about Dead Cells or Enter the Gungeon, the movement's incredibly important. In this game, it's important, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah, you have a lot of control of your movement. Even when you're in like slow time mode, you can still like fast fall and stuff.
Mhm.
Or you can roll and then immediately slash, and it'll still give you invincibility for that brief second you rolled. You can kind of like just cancel that in slow time. So you can just do all these like tiny little inputs that interrupt microscopic combos and just take out a room of guys.
Yeah, your split second decision to slow time can literally change the entire course of a level, whether you have to replay it or not. And it's super interesting to feel that way about the game's movement.
And there's like not even that many buttons.
Yeah, it's simple but complex, if that makes any sense.
It's pretty effortlessly cool.
Effortlessly cool. That's a good way to describe it, dude. Was that it on movement?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I think we're pretty much covered on it. I mean, the controls just feel like, feels like they're solid and they should be there, but like I said, equal parts punishing but fun. Not often in platformers. Sometimes, like, I feel like I get gypped by levels, but this game, it makes you feel like your movement led to your demise, and exactly, like, you knew that move wasn't going to work out as soon as you hit it on the control pad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it's like Risker for the Bisker, and you're like, I should not have Biskered that Risker.
But you like actually have the tools to make those like tiny adjustments, like I jumped too high or something and I got shot.
Yeah, and then the
fix that.
level rewinds and you get to do it immediately again. It was said online that the creator took a lot of a critical influence from the game Samurai Gun, which I've never personally played, but that's just what it said online.
I have
Have either of you played it? I'm just wondering.
No.
Well, we should play it. And
Just gonna trust the internet on this one.
And the Wikipedia. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Go ahead and fund Wikipedia, guys.
Did you say Samurai Gun or Gun Samurai?
Samurai Gun. Gun with two N's.
Gotcha. Goddamn.
Samurai with a sword.
Gun with an N.
It's actually gun with a J, but the J is silent.
Jun?
No, it's silent, so it's still gun. I'm not gonna tell you where the J is. You can figure that out. It's in between the two ends. Okay. let's move on to closing thoughts. Fuck it.
Closing thoughts.
See, I nailed it that time. I knew I would. So we're gonna go through the same categories I think we always go through in closing thoughts, unless Matt has anything to add, in which case, please throw it in. We talk about replayability a lot in closing thoughts. What are your guys' closing thoughts on replayability?
Well, for me, absolutely super replayable. Like I mentioned earlier, the achievements are really fun to like try to go for. Should you care about a thing like that? I've been doing the speed run mode, which I don't really care about my time, but you can like set it to hard mode, so there's like even new enemy types and harder level layouts, and you can just skip all the story and just play the game. You can not do that and just play hard levels. And like we mentioned earlier, there's like a lot of ways to influence the story, so there's a million reasons to play again.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it on what I was gonna say. Just like the replayability for me really affected the story. You get one end, or you get a certain number of choices that you need to make that affect the dialogue and other parts of the story. And obviously, you want to go back and be like, but what would happen if I didn't let him, or if I didn't spit in that guy's face? You know what I mean? Like you get to go back and re-choose things to see what would happen, and sometimes it affects nothing, and sometimes it affects everything. So I think replayability it's not necessary. You can play this game once and be satisfied, but if you really want to get like a full-on feel for what the creator put into this, you should replay it.
Right. And even like story wise aside, like I will say like, story is a great way and an awesome reason to replay this game, but it doesn't even feel like 4 to 6 hours. You scratch that itch enough control wise and combat wise in this game that eventually you'll just want to pick it up and play it again for the same reason. Be like, oh, yeah, I can finish this game in about 5 hours. And you might play it like, a week later or a few months later, but it brings that nice sense of joy back to just playing the game again, just not even story wise. The controls feel great, the combat feels great, everything feels great to replay again.
Yeah, exactly. I was really easy to get through and replay it for this podcast even.
I kind of pressured him. I was like, you gotta replay it, dude.
Well, you didn't even, and like I set aside like, okay, I gotta replay the game. I did it in like a couple sittings, like 2 tries.
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
easy, and that may have been because I'm just coping, waiting for the other half of the game to come out.
Well,
But-
we'll get to that in a second. Don't you worry. I have that written down.
a little surprised for later.
Yeah,
Lol.
DLC / actually finished game, whatever you want to call it. But
It's a special tool that'll help us later.
But like even as Stand is, it's like it's an incredible game as is. That's why it's so exciting. There's more.
I think that I have commitment issues with finishing games on stream. Like that's just something that I don't usually do because honestly, audience attention rates are very low as a streamer. Like you don't usually get people that are like, I'm gonna sit here for 7 hours and watch you play the whole game unless they're really invested. This is a game that I didn't give a shit about attention rate. When it hit that turning point that I talked about where I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I'm not getting off. Like I'm gonna do a playthrough, and I did the entire first playthrough just like sitting there on stream, which is not something I would usually do. Like once shit starts dipping, I'm like, all right, let's go make up those viewers somewhere else, and this is a business, I gotta run it, but like for this I was like, I gotta know, I like have to know what happened. And I think that's a really powerful statement in itself, that I had to know, I had to play it through, and I think you will too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, replayability wise, I think that covers basically everything. I mean, it just proves why you should not just play this game only once. Even though it's not like the other ones replayability wise we've talked about, this in of itself is a really nice one to replay for other reasons.
100%. Do you guys what do you guys put this on the fun factor, like 1 to 10? Where is it putting it on the fun factor? And if you have a reason why, you can go ahead and say that too.
I get like a 9. I remember, honestly, my favorite parts of this game were like the really hard parts.
Yeah.
Like, if I was struggling on a level, I was having so much fun with it because this game can really push you, and it gives you all the tools you need to kind of push back. So when you actually are able to complete some of its harder challenges, it feels really cool to watch back.
Yeah, especially that replay feature where it shows, like, you not only do you complete the game and you're like, yeah, I'm the baddest, but then you're like, replay, I'm gonna watch myself be the baddest.
Like, it's like super hot. You're really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I get that same feeling from this game. Like, I mean, I give it a fun factor rating of about 9, and I usually do kind of like a mad factor too, which on this game, it's not as high because, like I said, everything feels like my fault. So I give that like maybe like a 6.5-ish, But like, yeah, I play this game just for the fun factor alone. Like I give that like a solid 9.
Yeah, like the checkpoints between levels are pretty short. So like if you die, you're only at the most losing like 20 seconds of game time. So it's really easy to just chip through a lot.
Yeah. We talk about dying through levels a lot. In other games, like oh, you can't die through Gungeon because it's procedurally generated. You can die your way through this game.
Yeah,
like, it's part of the story to die.
Yeah, it is part of the story to die your way through it, and I think that's what separates it. Because usually I wouldn't find that enjoyable, and my fun factor rating on this is probably like I'd give it like an 8.5. It's a little lower than you guys, but mainly the thing that kept me trucking along was the story in this game. The combat wasn't my favorite for like every game I've ever played, but the story kept me coming back, and the humor and like the questioning was the main reason that I enjoyed it. If we go on Tom's aspect of the mad factor, I'd probably put it like a 3. I didn't get really irritated by this game. I just enjoyed it fully all the way through. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, like maybe I took it more for the mad factor because there are certain parts where there are like levels where for some reason you just can't figure out how the hell to get through, and like I just couldn't kick it in, and it just I just after like a certain amount of 10 tries of dying to the same shit, which is like my version of just going insane,
mhm.
I get mad, and then as soon as I get angry, I know I won't be able to beat a level.
Oh yeah, I totally feel that, man. Hell yeah. Did you guys have any specific like favorite parts of the game, and then on the alternate side of that, least favorite parts? And you can repeat yourself from earlier if you need to. But I'm just wondering.
I mean, I normally like stealth and stuff, but I have to agree with you on the prison that stealth in this game just kind of like I appreciate why it's there for story reasons, but like if you've played through the game before, you're probably not gonna bother because like it's more fun
part
to
of your
not.
least favorite? Was that your least favorite or favorite? Sorry.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite. Like the stealth was cool thematically, but it really felt like it slowed things down and punished you. And that part was like the only time where if I was like smacking my head against the wall, grinding something out, that was the time it felt bad.
Yeah.
I hate forced stealth as well.
I will agree with you that that's probably my least favorite. I know that's it's taking kind of the short road out, but that's probably my least favorite too. I said it earlier, and it was just like it didn't fit for me personally for the rest of the way I play the game. And I'm saying like you could play this game stealthy, you could do all the things that they want you to do. I just didn't like that. I felt like I had to do it even if you didn't. I don't know. That was my whole thing. I talked about it earlier. You were there earlier in the podcast.
Remember?
I hope. I don't think that people just skipped to this part and they were like, "What is this dude talking about?" But that was my least favorite part. What about you, Tom? Any least favorite parts?
I think we're all kind of in agreement on that. I hate games that kind of just force stealth out of nowhere, that just kind of slow down the pace of everything. Like this game, pace-wise, feels more like an action platformer, and the parts that feel stealth really cut down the pacing in like half or more, especially like he mentioned the prison level where there is literally just a whole bunch of guards with guns and you have to wait for them to do the turn flashlight move, which everybody fucking hates that in video games nowadays. Like nobody likes that because it's such a cliche at this point that it didn't really fit that game. If they would have made that level like an escape from prison level and you have to like beat all the guards on the way out, that would have been totally different and make stealth a little more optional. But yeah, I hate forced stealth.
And when we say forced stealth, this game isn't fully forcing you to do it. Like you can ignore it and you can do whatever you want, but it's overlaying like, hey, you should probably be stealthy because it'll be easier. And like that's what I would consider still forced stealth
like
at that point.
People like me who like stealth games, like when I was playing through on the first time, like I wanted to do it stealthy, but it's not really fun because the game isn't built around that. You're pretty much just waiting, and then you go, hide in the cell, roll through the guards. You can't really even use your slow time except for like really tight stuff. But
then it just feels like you're not utilizing it. Yeah, you're not utilizing your slow time to what makes the slow time fun, which is like those oh shit moments where I have to clutch or kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this game is so expressive in the way you make choices throughout it, and the way you play, and the way you go through encounters, and then it's so bottlenecked.
Yeah, that describes it perfectly. Did you have a favorite thing though? Like it could be anything. It could be an NPC. It could be a level. Anything you guys want. Did you guys have a favorite thing about this game?
I love Kronos.
Yeah, I mean, fair. He is. That is definitely a really unique kind of way to integrate like a slow motion kind of aspect in this game with the drug and whatnot. And how it ties into the story is really cool, I think.
Yeah, it ties the whole game together in like the most interesting way possible.
100%. I mean, was that yours too, Tom, or did you have a separate one? Sorry, I don't want to.
No, I think my separate one from that is honestly the way like sword slashes turn neon in this game. Like, I mean, like I've talked about the neon aspect, but for this game, it looks so fucking cool. Like, I mean, I just love like neon art in general, and it fits this dystopia so well, but it doesn't overdo it. And the way like the pink and blue clash against the dark background is just something, like I said, it's breathtaking to behold when you play this game. Like, I mean, combat and controls feed into the way the graphics will be in this game, and that's something just really nice to behold, you know.
Yeah, definitely. This isn't mine, but adding on to what you said, I think also with it, we're talking about like neon and stuff. The dialogue, just like the word arty neon, like it's like word art, but you make it neon and fun colors, and like it just makes the dialogue so much more dynamic than anything else.
Right.
My favorite part would probably have to be just I got two and they're equally tied. I tried to split them up and I know that's unfair, but the sound I mean you heard me just go off about the sound. The sound was just the music and the sound really got me, the way that it was made, everything about it. And the more I learned about it, the more I fell in love with how the game plays out and just everything about the sound in this game. The sound design was immaculately made. It was wonderful and I loved it. But also just the NPCs are just so lifelike and like real people. And like I can plaster somebody's face I know over every single NPC in this game and be like, that's you. That's who you are. Like they're just very lifelike. And I love that about that. That I can actually relate them to real people. They don't feel distant or weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some of
Hell
them
yeah.
are weird. Oh, I think some of them are weird.
Nope, every single one. Doesn't matter who they are.
Sean, I actually disagree with you there. No,
I'd like you to leave
actually,
the podcast, please. Go ahead and exit. Go ahead and put yourself in after work mode from here. I'm gonna talk to you real quick.
we are whiting out everything you said so far. You are removed.
It is just like every time we go on the podcast, you just say like,
Like I'm blocked on Black Mirror.
fuck. Is there any games that this reminds you of?
I feel like people would be mad if we didn't like say the words Hotline Miami somewhere.
Yeah,
in this
that
whole
was the only
podcast.
thing I was gonna say was Hotline. That's
Mhm.
the only one. It's very. I mean, let's be. It was heavily influenced by Hotline Miami and apparently Samurai Gun with the Silent J.
I think I like this game more though.
Yeah,
Like, I give it a 9 because I want more of it. Like it's still great for the price and it's a great game, but for all the reasons you like it, I wish there was more.
I did you have another one, Tom? I think we're all just gonna say Hotline Miami, honestly.
No,
Like, it's
yeah,
just-
this is the platform version of Hotline Miami, but with a bit more story going on. You know.
I think that it's if they took Hotline Miami, you made it better. It's this game.
Yeah, like the 2D platforming aspect that, you know, but goddamn, like we'll probably have to do Hotline Miami because that is also a great game. for, like-
Definitely. And I know you keep talking about how you want more about this game. So let's get into one of the actually this is probably the last thing we're going to talk about is DLC. So, I have a lot written down about it, but I'd like to hear what you have to say first.
Me? Am I you?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, you
that's
keep
the
talking
you.
about DLC. You kept talking about DLC, so
I just know that the second half of the game is somewhere out there in development land, and the cool part is it's going to be free.
definitely. And that's basically what I have a lot of script written down to basically say the same thing. But they were saying that a week after Katana Zero's initial release, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna make another DLC for it, and it's gonna be free," which is what you just said. And basically, he was saying, "Okay, well, in 2020, the DLC he announced that it was 3 times the size of what it was originally planned to be, and then in 2021, he announced, oh yeah, now it's 6 times the size of the original size that they planned it to be. But
Jeez.
don't worry."
Bums.
It's still gonna be free, and then eventually, I think at the end of 2001, he was saying, yeah, this is actually gonna be basically like Katana 1.5 instead of a DLC. So they're basically making it a sequel or whatever to quote unquote wrap up smaller things and answer bigger fan questions and give a little bit more insight into the world. Was what he was saying.
That'd
Which
be
is like
great.
everything I want.
Which is, yeah, I think that's everything. I think that they're doing a very good job of listening to their fan base and providing something that everyone's gonna be happy with. And I don't like for instance, like when people rush game developers and like you need to put it out now, which is like what happened with Cyberpunk 2077 or No Man's Sky or like a lot of other games where people rushed their game developers and they ended up having shit releases because of it. I think people are being very patient with this game because they know it's going to be good because they're giving them the time. And like I think that's said fully by this specific statistic that Katana Zero was sold over 100,000 copies within a week of release, and it became the second fastest selling Switch game, right behind Enter the Gungeon, which we previously talked about. Like, and that game was wildly viral. So statistically, this game just does really well. People love it. It was incredibly pre-ordered and sold. Fans know they can wait for it because they're going to receive something that is worth the wait.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't wait to play the DLC in this game, especially like since like this isn't a game that overstays its welcome. It's not like a 20-hour long, 30-hour long kind of slogfest story-wise. It gets to the point in like 5-6 hours, and I think the next game will be probably a little bit shorter, but if it wraps everything up nice in that amount of time, I really look forward to playing it again.
And just for reference, he did also the creator of the game, Stander, did create a couple other games before this that kind of led up to this game, that kind of fleshed out how he wanted Katana Zero to go. And he did say that if he creates any other games past Katana Zero, like past the DLC, if he creates like a Katana 2 or whatever, it will be set in the same fictional universe, quote unquote. The story is going to be wrapped up with something else later on. It's all been planned since the beginning. He's not making it up as he goes. It's not like Lost or something. That's what he said. So with that being said, I think we can infer that there'll probably be a second game, which I am looking forward to and will play live.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more of this. Like, this is one of those games I can just play again every few months, and still feel fresh and fun and have a good time with.
Cool. Well, did you guys have anything to add before we hit the outro?
I think we've covered a lot of it,
Matt, anything?
No, I don't think I do, Sean.
I hate that. Never do that again. No kidding. All right, guys.
Please refer to me as seansaginger.ttp.
The next question, the only other questions I have to ask is, Matt, if you want to be found on the internet or elsewhere, if you want to give an address, I'm not going to stop you. But where can people find you to check out your content?
The best way is probably Twitter. I'll read your stuff. I'll copyright it. I write about games, and I sometimes post them on that. If I do, that's like the only thing I'm trying to grow, I guess. So,
what's your Twitter name?
@MattGoodsell0.
Cool. We'll have all Matt's information linked in the show notes, including a link to his personal blog, and if he wants his writing, his professional blog, and his Twitter. As for Tom, what do you want to promote? Where can people find you if you want to be found?
All right. Well, I'm Tom. You can find me at your mom's house, and you can also just look at my Anchor 13 tattoo page. Like I do art all the time. If you want to talk indie games, though, Anchor 13 tattoo. Tom Dykers tattoos on Instagram, TikTok, my Facebook, all that fun stuff. So,
my dad lives at my mom's house, though. Does he know you're there?
Dad?
Dad?
Yeah, he knows. He's just sometimes way in the other room.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's kind of deaf. All right, guys. And as always, I'm Sean. Sean is a ginger on literally every platform. SEAN is a ginger. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitch, mostly. Twitch. Go to Twitch. Go to YouTube as well. And as always, you can find me there live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday playing games galore, having fun, and sometimes sexualizing Pokemon. That's been like what people like to do lately. We're doing Smash or Pass Pokemon a lot.
Yeah, that was a fun episode. Like the Cryptics episode was definitely really fun to be a part of. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Like-
it's a lot of content. You can come see our ugly mugs. As always, guys, we do wanna say thank you to our guest today, Matt. Thank you for coming on. I hope you had a good time. And if not, fuck you.
I had a lot of fun.
I'm glad. We'll probably have Matt back for whatever he wants to come back for because we'll take what we can get at this point.
I'd be honored.
we need guests.
Please,
Fucking-
God.
Your desperation is honoring.
Holy shit. I'll just hit the outro really quick. All right, guys. Well, I forgot the fucking outro. Holy shit. God damn, put me down. I'm
Why
dumb.
we write things.
It's late. It's a late night. All right. I've had a long day. I lost the outro as well. Where the fuck is it?
I think it's on the next page.
Oh, I have it. Oh yeah, I found it, guys. Okay, so
The elevator music.
holy shit. If you're a developer that wants to talk about your indie game on the podcast, feel free to send us a podcast feel free to send us an email at blockroastpod@gmail.com. Again, guys, that's blockroastpod@gmail.com. Blockroastpod, of course, streams live. Currently, we're streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch under Block Roast Podcast. Opening music is 8-Bit Fun by the Heatley Bros. And I was going to say, oh, yeah, don't forget to rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is. Rate us 5 stars. And if you don't rate us 5 stars, I will literally cry. I will provide myself crying to you. Okay, thanks a lot. Block Roast Podcast is, of course, and always will be a Lost Cause media production. And we will see you next week when we talk about, what are we talking about next week, Tom? You know.
Knights of Pen and Paper.
I have not played that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a definitely fun. It's a very different game than what we've been talking about recently. So I think it's going to make for a very fun episode.
And not to self-promote, but if you do want to see me play it live, I'm playing it on Thursday. So come by between 8 and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on my Twitch page. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Everyone say bye. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.
Lost Cause Media.